Loneliness isn't something that happens to weak people, or people who can't connect, or people who chose the wrong life. Loneliness is a biological signal, the same class of signal as hunger or pain, and your brain processes it in exactly the same neural pathways as physical injury. You are not lonely because something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with the world you were built for, and you ended up in a different one. Here's what almost nobody tells you about loneliness. It's not a mood, it's not a personality trait, it's an alarm system. And like every alarm system your body has, it was built for a world that no longer exists. For most of human history, being alone wasn't sad. It was dangerous. If you were separated from your group, your tribe, your family, the people who would notice if you didn't come back, you were exposed. No protection, no shared food, no one to warn you about the predator in the grass. Being alone meant you were probably going to die. So evolution did what it does best. It built a warning light, a feeling so uncomfortable that you'd do almost anything to make it stop. That feeling is loneliness, and it worked exactly as designed for roughly 300,000 years. Then something happened that evolution never saw coming. We built a world where you can be surrounded by people, coworkers, neighbors, thousands of online followers, and still trigger that ancient alarm. The light is going off, but there's no predator. There's no tribe to run back to. There's just you and a feeling your body insists is an emergency. In 2002, a researcher named John Cacioppo at the University of Chicago started asking a question that sounds almost too simple. What is loneliness actually doing to the body? He took a group of people, ranked them by how lonely they reported feeling, and then looked at their immune systems. The lonelier someone was, the more their bodies showed signs of chronic, low-grade inflammation. The same kind of inflammation linked to heart disease, diabetes, and accelerated aging. Loneliness wasn't just a feeling anymore, it was a measurable biological state. Your immune system, the system designed to protect you from threats, was treating disconnection itself as a threat. In 2014, a team of researchers used MRI scans to look directly at the brains of people who scored high on loneliness scales. And what they found should have made headlines everywhere. The hippocampus, the same structure responsible for memory and learning, was measurably smaller in chronically lonely people, not metaphorically smaller, smaller in volume. You could see it on the scan. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, showed the opposite pattern. It was working overtime, more reactive, more easily triggered. The brain of a chronically lonely person starts to look, structurally, like the brain of someone living through prolonged physical danger. Hypervigilant, inflamed, shrinking in the regions that help you learn, remember, and plan for the future. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when you feel lonely. It's doing exactly what it's designed to do when it believes you're stranded somewhere unsafe. The only problem is that nothing told it the danger ended. It's still running 300,000-year-old software in a world it was never built for. And here's where it gets even stranger. Researchers studying social isolation found something they didn't expect when they looked at identical situations from the outside. Two people could be in the exact same environment, same number of friends, same family structure, same job. And one of them registers it as connection, while the other registers it as isolation. It's not about how many people are around you, it's about whether your brain believes those people would notice if you disappeared. That distinction changes everything, because it means the modern epidemic of loneliness isn't really about being alone. Most lonely people aren't alone most of the time. They're surrounded by people. What's missing isn't proximity. It's the specific feeling of being known, the sense that if something happened to you, someone would notice before it was too late. We evolved in groups of maybe 50 to 150 people. Every one of them knew your face, your voice, your role. If you didn't show up, someone asked why within hours. That constant, ambient knowing was the background condition of human life for almost the entire span of our existence. Now picture a city of 10 million people. You can walk for an hour and not see a single face that knows your name. You can disappear from your apartment for 3 days, and unless someone specifically checks, no one would know. Your brain was never designed to process a world like that. It doesn't have a setting for surrounded by strangers. It only has two settings: known or in danger. In 2010, a meta-analysis combining data from over 300,000 people found that loneliness increases the risk of early death by a margin comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Sit with that for a second. A feeling. an emotional state, with a measurable effect on lifespan that rivals one of the most studied health risks in modern medicine. It's what happens when an alarm system built for immediate physical danger gets left running quietly in the background for years. The body doesn't know the difference between "I am about to be eaten by a predator" and "no one has checked on me in 3 weeks." To your nervous system, both situations say the same thing: you are not safe and you are not seen. And it gets stranger still. Because loneliness doesn't just sit quietly inside one person, it moves. In 2009, Cacioppo teamed up with researchers studying a massive, decades-long dataset called the Framingham Heart Study. Thousands of people, tracked across generations, every relationship between them mapped like a web. Loneliness spreads. Not like an idea, like a contagion. If someone in your social network became lonely, the people directly connected to them became significantly more likely to become lonely too, even if nothing in their own lives had changed. And it didn't stop there. The effect reached 2 and 3 connections out. A friend of a lonely person had a measurably higher chance of becoming lonely themselves without ever knowing the original person at all. Loneliness isn't just a private internal state, it's something closer to a signal that gets passed along, person to person, the way a yawn moves through a room. Except instead of making people tired, it makes them withdraw, a little less likely to reach out, a little more likely to assume no one wants to hear from them. And the people on the receiving end of that withdrawal often have no idea it's happening at all. But in a world where the threat isn't a predator, that same mechanism just quietly drains connection out of entire networks of people, one relationship at a time. So if you've ever felt lonely in a room full of people, now you know why. Your brain wasn't counting the people in the room. It was checking something older than that, whether you were known. For most of human history, that question had an obvious answer. Today, for an enormous number of people, it doesn't. And the brain hasn't caught up. Somewhere in that growth, the people who would notice got harder to find.